Okay, Gene, little video for you at the end of our session, right? So we mentioned, get rid of that yellow line. So we mentioned ball position, and we mentioned the position we want the shaft and your hands in at setup, right? So you can see your hands are a little too far back here. The ball position's a little bit too far back. You're definitely going to hit down on it and compress it from that position. But if you're doing that with all your irons and woods as well, that would definitely be part of the reason why you're seeing your shot shape end up a little bit too much to the right? Ball position back, club head tends to attack the ball more from the inside, right? We talked about that a lot last year. Ball position more forward, you tend to swing across it a bit more.
Where should the ball position be on a 3-wood?
A 3-wood just inside your left heel.
Yeah, okay.
Just inside your left heel.
Okay.
Yeah. But for a wedge, I just want to get it more in the middle, right?
Yeah.
Which is, if there's a ball there on the right side of the screen, that's a much better setup there, right? Then what we talked about was going back, right? So we said, right, well, there's some head movement. There's some head movement to the right. We talked about how kind of bent over you were there. So I said, I explained the Axeman analogy, right? Explained that your spine has to bend back or extend as you're turning to get up to the top. And when you extended, okay, your head stays in the box. Now you're raising up a little bit as you're doing it, right? You want to try and do it, we'll maybe explain more about how the left shoulder has to move downwards, right, as you're extending. That keeps your head in the box. But really, I'm looking for the head not to move to the right.
Yeah.
And you nailed that, look. Look at the difference in spine angle now at the top.
Yeah.
That's completely different look, right? So that's really good. So we changed that, and then as we come down, and before we start working on arm position and getting that right arm in a better position coming down, right? We really got to kind of nip in the bud the weight moving forward aspect, right? So if we just make the pressure map a little bit larger as you come down, so you do start to move the weight forward, right, which gets more pressure under that left foot, which is good, right? Certainly through impact there, right? You're more pressure on the lead foot, which is great. But what happens after you hit it is you start to move the weight back, right? So if we look at what your hips are doing, your hips are not moving progressively forward, right? Your hips actually start moving backward away from the target, which then moves the pressure. So there at impact, just after impact, you're 72% on your lead foot, which isn't bad. But then after you hit it, you end up with 98% on your back foot, right? And you can see how your left hip moves away from that red line, right? So your hips are moving backwards, the opposite direction to which we want them to move. So all I'm getting you doing coming down here is understanding that as you come down, the more the club comes down, the more your hips have got to move forward until you've got them over your left foot, right? And you can balance, you can hit the ball and balance on that lead foot. Now, what does it look like when you do that? Your right pocket is directly over your lead foot, whereas we look back here and your right pocket is pretty much over your back foot. Yeah, so that's totally different. So your two lessons today are extend your spine, bend backwards to get up to the top. That will keep your head centered, right? And then move your hips progressively forward as you're coming down to hit the ball, so that when you finish, you're just balancing on that left leg. Really good.